Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to NECC, the Champions Division for Rainbow 6. We got a really fiery game for you tonight, but before we get into that, let's do some introductions. My name is Jenna, aka Giraffro. You may have seen me in other leagues, and right next to me is going to be the beautiful, the wonderful H. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. I am the letter H, and I'm very excited for the game that we're going to be seeing today of Marymount versus Johnson and Wales currently. I've personally not seen much gameplay from them, but out of some information that I was sent, Johnson and Wales went 1-0 for a 2-0, 2-1 against California State Dominguez Hills on Oregon. Dominguez? Dominguez Hills. And the Marymount went 1-0 with a 0-2 against Buffalo 1, and they did not take a single round on Villa at all. So judging by these stats that I have heard right now, I don't know who could win this or who it is might be favored for, but we'll see and time will tell.
I mean, you're totally right on that. Normally, during the beginning of this season, there's a lot of unknown factors about each team. They haven't gone up against the different skill registers that each team presents, and for that, you don't necessarily know. You can't make all too many reference points because, frankly, you just haven't seen them play all too much. And I think that Marymount, California, and Johnson and Wales, they're going to be premiering something new here tonight. They're going to be premiering a lot of different skills, a lot of different foundational, efficient, wonderful skills here tonight. And so if we look at the maps, right, we got Oregon, we got Villa, and we got Theme Park for the decider. Oregon, it was obviously Johnson's pick. They prefer Oregon quite a lot. It's definitely an interesting map, to say the least, and that's where we'll be going first. In Marymount, interestingly enough, now to me, I do not like this at all, at the very least, but Marymount, they chose attack willingly. Now we know that Oregon is an extremely defense-sided map, and I do have to question their decision for that as to why they chose attack. Are they just more comfortable on it? Do they not prefer defense? Do they think their defense is a little bit underperforming? We don't necessarily know, and that's something, in an interview that I would definitely have to ask them. But on Villa, we're going to be seeing it as Marymount's pick, and it's going to be Johnson on attack. So that's something else that's a little bit weird. We know Villa is a more attack-sider map, so it does make sense in a way that Johnson and Wales, they did choose attack for the first starting half. But at the very same time, it's like, when you do have the option to go defense, when you have the choice, I would say, put yourself in an advantageous position. Just try to go defense. Try to see what happens. And maybe the very same thing where Johnson doesn't necessarily feel comfortable all too much going on their defensive rounds for Villa. Again, all of this will be premiered in the upcoming matches for Oregon. Now, that's actually going to be our first map. How do you feel about Oregon, H?
I've seen a lot of play on Oregon, and I would actually like to defend their choosing on going attack first because it would be a lot easier to win a few rounds on attack and then snowball really hard into defense, since Oregon is a very defensive-sided map after the half, and then rather than being defense and then just getting absolutely landlocked after halftime. So they might be able to bring it all the way back from attack if they already take a few rounds on top of that. And as we talk about that, we are going into our ban phase for Oregon. Do you think I'm expecting the usual bans, probably Thatcher, usual suspects, Mira. Do you have any ideas?
I'm gonna say Thatcher, a ranged hard breacher, and then Mira and a utility operator like Malusi. We might even be seeing Kaid being taken out of the operator selection, especially being that he's super powerful on hatch play, which is what Oregon, especially bottom floor, is known for pretty well. So I guess one of those operators we're probably going to be seeing premiered, but our next attacker ban right next to Thatcher is going to be Jackal. Jackal, out of all things. I mean, Jackal is one of those operators where if you don't want to take out a hard or a ranged hard breacher, he's your guy to go to, right? He would be your next pick most likely, and especially in the case where MCU, they don't want to be taking out, or they don't want to be impeded on their roaming, on their defense-sided rounds. That's an operator that they would normally want to take out of the game, because you don't want to have to deal with the pesky fetishizing footmongerer of Jackal, who just tracks your every single move and makes the game so much harder for you to have to play out. But our last operator being taken out, of course, will be Kaid, respectively. So it wasn't any of the utility operators that I predicted, but it definitely fell into the category of prediction, as he will be a hard breach denial operator.
And then I was also 50% right on that Thatcher and Mira ban because you typically see those on every map that is played on Rainbow Six. And seeing the Jackal ban from Maryland helps further support my theory of they're probably going to try to snowball after half on the defensive side, so that way they'll have a really strong roam game and then use that to their advantage rather than trying to win all their rounds on attack itself. And then we're going to be seeing a very, very stock pick going on here with a Vigil on defense being 6 picked out into Malusi, which makes a little bit more sense for the passive information that her gadget provides. And we're seeing Buck switched into Hibana, so we're bringing a lot of hard breach on our attacking side with IQ to spot any sort of wall denial that might come in the form of our mute or bandit.
Well, we see top floor being our first pick of the bomb site selection for Johnson Wales. And I think, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing to try to throw the attack off. And so far, it looks like this is going to be a pretty default-like setup, right? You have a Mute, you have a Malusi, you have all the normal suspects that you would see on a defensive round. Definitely a huge emphasis on trying to keep out those pesky attackers from your hard-breachable walls. You got a Bandit and you have a Mute being played, so most likely, we could very well be seeing Bandit trying to trick and or Mute being used to shut down intel. Definitely, potentially a second versatile use for each of those operators, and I think that's just the interesting, strategy of analyzing these character compositions and selections at the very least. But another interesting thing is that you have two hard breachers on the side of the attack, which means that they could very easily do a split push, which is what we normally see on Oregon. You have one section of the team that goes all the way over to the attic side, tries to breach out the hard wall, and then you have another section of the team that ends up going to the master bedroom and tries to breach from there. So that very well could be happening for the attack, trying to add some split pressure onto the defense and dually keeping them on your feet and getting some objectives done.
Mm-hmm. And then we see our Zafia going on the bottom floor, taking out any sort of bandits or mute that they might try to find over there. And we didn't talk about it, but the Malusi placed her gadget over the hatch, and then I'm going to assume that they broke the hatch under it, so you can run up to it and melee it, or at least as easily. So that makes it a much more risky play to try to take it out. And we're going to be seeing Vortex getting attacked over here in Copy, I believe, and then Coin Flips running over towards Dining Room. There's so far a lot of that split pushing going on, a lot of that split pressure, and a lot of gunfights that are exchanging and ultimately resulting in nothing when we hit around the minute-and-a-half mark. And first blood goes to, I believe AP is how we pronounce it. Then Meow taking that refrag immediately, and that is the smoke down with a minute 30 left. That is a lot of time that has just been put into the attacking team's pocket for this push.
Well, goes down, and then the score goes down just as well. Again, not too much of a one-to-one trade there, as well. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'll say it. It is more of a one-to-one trade, especially being that smoke. You want to keep him up on the board for as long as you possibly can, and once Thermite does out his job, well, I mean, he could turn to frag wipe. Unfortunately, he did not today. He gets fragged out as Meow. He gets the shot on the Nomad player of Hope Banshee. Unfortunate as it is, you're not going to have to deal with her anymore. Now a 3v3 is Vortex coming in, swings the angle of the hard breach, and gets the shot off on Meow. Another engagement, we see premiered here, Zofia moving in very aggressively. Gets killed just by the G8, and Strict, he also gets a kill in the same moment on a smash. Now Coin Flip coming in with the C4, throwing it very steadily, prevents the defuse, and kills the player trying to plant that diffuser. Is the last player remaining. He is stuck in Kid's dorm, so he at least is in the objective, but it's still a 2v1, so a refrag scenario could very potentially happen. You got one player on white stairs, and you have one player sitting by the double window. So he's going to try to attempt a little bit of late round droning. He'll try to peek it, but Coin Flips coming in clutch, gets the headshot on I, attempting to rotate, and that is JWU's round.
There's not much you can really do in that situation if you were that IQ. Like, you could try to run back into attic, or you could try to run back through that bedroom, but you can't really do much. There's not a lot of wiggle room that you can get in order to have the advantage in that 2v1, especially with the lack of knowledge and the lack of intel on the attacking side. There is a lot of knowledge already put onto the defense side, and they probably already knew where they were. So from there, I was just waiting out the clock because that's all they had to do on the defense side. And then we're going to be moving down into basement, one of the famous Oregon holds that we're going to have here, and it is going to be slightly different because of the lack of a Cade. If they take that, if the attacking team takes that to their advantage, they'll be able to get a really good vertical play going, and then be able to split push it from both the top and like a horizontal way, probably from construction or freezer.
And it brings a new level of strategy, like you were saying. They'll be able to take away the hatches from the round, get a little bit more angle play going, but frankly, they have a lot of different ways that they can attack this. And I honestly think that they very well may get overwhelmed in the situation that a split push needs to happen, right? The split push needs to happen, and they gotta choose where exactly to go. If they don't have this strategy down, if they don't have the pacing down along to go with it, they could get overwhelmed. They could very simply become indecisive and allow the defense to capitalize off of that. So you have to have a clear idea of what you're going to do in the round, where you're going to go as a team, and commit to it. You have to commit to it. Otherwise, this push will be all for naught, and the utility consumption, the player consumption, whatever it may be, along with it. But a bunker side push is what it looks like for the attack. They're going to be going that way in the objective area, in the in the bottom floor area at the very least. We have Ash. She'll be taking a very aggressive hold now in blue bunker, now that is contested by the attackers. You don't really have any presence there, but unfortunate as it is, it's going to be Meow. He'll grab a kill with the MP5K, and that Smasher going down real. A huge presence of the round. That's your Habana player. You don't want her down at the very least.
Well, I think in theory you don't want any of your players down in an ideal scenario, but that Habana's going to remove a very effective freezer push that they could have tried to do with her ranged hard breaching capabilities. They would have been able to just push in through there very safely and put a lot more pressure into the defense, even if they weren't looking through the peak hole that they would have made in that area. And even so, dropping the Habana is a very, very strong pick for JWU over here because of that fact. That is a lot less pressure they need to worry about and a lot less gadgets they need to worry about in the hole. And we're just going to be seeing them droning out and then taking out Big Tower, taking out Conference Room over here, Meeting Hall. They're just doing their general sweeping of any roamers.
I mean, unfortunate as it is, they can't necessarily see if there are any roamers in the current area, and we know as casters, you know, we have that knowledge that the attackers don't. We know that there isn't anybody sitting on the top floor, so it is free, open real estate for the attack just simply to collect on. And now that they have that knowledge, they're going to easily be able to take out the hatches and open up that angular play. This could be huge for them. They're going to open up a new style of play. Not only that, but bolster the effect that their horizontal play coming from pillars will have. And I think that the defenders definitely know where the attackers are coming from. They're getting smart to their push, and they're just holding up the crossfire angles. You can tell they're all the way on the side of the main stairs. Although, you got I, he'll be picking up a player that's just sitting there from the main bomb objective, sitting in A. Unfortunate as is, you also have I himself going down by what I believe is the smoke player. Now in a 3-on-4 scenario, you got about 1-to-1 trade. The scorer will be trying to move in from E-Box. He will do so, but now he's going to have attackers hold his position. Unfortunately, it will not happen. The diffuser going down alongside with them. It's going to allow for the defenders to capitalize off of that. Ado will be picking up the kills for this round. MVP is what he'll be solidified as he finishes off in a stunning fashion.
That was just a whirlwind of events going on right in that last 30 to 40 seconds of that match. Just everyone dying, everyone trying to run in, and I just didn't know that JW had such a good impression of a statue going on. Their entire team is just really good at that. They just know how to hold that angle and to be patient because they realize that they are on the defensive side, so they could just be statues and just wait for them to walk into their crossfire because they're pushing. They're the ones that need to attack. They're not the ones that need to try to just hold that point for the last minute and a half that they have to hold it. And that paid off really well because something that you see a lot in these leagues is kill greed, I'm going to call it. People just gotta get bored of just waiting around for the defense, and then they just run out and die with no fruits of their labor at all. So I'm really happy to see JWU have that sort of diligence to be able to just stand there and hold their ground rather than try to push out for kills.
You're right about this whole statue theory, but there's a double-edged sword to that theory, I think. You saw it premiered. The bandit went down to the player of I, and when the attackers begin to get, how do I put it? They begin to get stagnant almost, and they begin to get restless, and that makes them want to get super aggressive. You're totally right. It's a simple behavior, you know? They want to get rewarded for playing. They want to get rewarded, and they want to feel like they're doing something in the round. And what better way to do it than to just make a push to go in? We saw that from I. He grabs one, but then he immediately gets refragged, and honestly, that split second of, you know, gratification that he got from getting the kill eventually gets wiped away, because then he gets fragged, there's a lot of collateral on the hand of the attack, and it doesn't really come to a good round for the attack. They lose out a lot of their engagements, and they're frankly bested in their mechanical play. You do not want that at all, really. And you're right, in an ideal world, you wouldn't lose any attackers, but from I doing that, getting the instant gratification, and then being punished thereafter, you obviously are going to have some level of collateral, but oh man, we're going to be descending, or rather ascending, on over to kitchen and meeting for this next site. We already see about a minute has gone down in the round, and I is going to be taking quite a lot of damage. Only about less than 25 health, so a bit of a sliver for him. And for him to be a top fragger of this game and get absolutely gunned out by the UMP player of Meow, not good. Not good at all. It's not a good look for the attacking team.
And especially since that was the castle taking down the Ash, that is his direct counter when it comes to his gadget. So he is able to utilize those castle barricades a lot more, putting even more time into the defensive side's pocket and even less time out of MCU's pocket. Because with that lack of Ash, they don't have much ranged breach outside of both Zafia and Hibana, although I don't know if you want to try to use a bunch of those impact grenades if they have not already been used. And then we have Jet Ted holding out his kitchen angle over here, catching out anyone who's running across that hallway and getting concussioned by Vortex. Just kind of backing off, letting them have that angle. And then Meow JW and the Meow over here is just going to be holding that vertical angle. And Coin Flips taking down the score on MCU's side, with Coin Flips trying to get a kill onto Vortex, and that's just not going to pay off. And that is still going to be a lot of gun power on the defensive side to a 4-3 at 45 seconds left on the clock. Do you think there's anything that MCU could do to try to push up further and try to get this win in their pocket?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think they can, you know, by just Vortex peeking in and getting kills for himself. That's already an advance in the attacking strategy. He gets a triple, but then he gets immediately punished by the player from above being a Meow. And oh my, that is the biggest drawback of doing a horizontal take when it comes to kitchen and meeting, because then what happens on your vertical engagements? You don't really get a say in when the vertical engagements are going to happen. You don't get a say in if you're going to win them out, because immediately you're getting killed from above. You don't even get an engagement, frankly, a face-to-face one. It's all the way coming from above. The player above has the obvious advantage, and you simply cannot refute that. That's the bad part about it. So that is exactly why the attack should have dismantled the roam presence up on top floor. They should have taken the verticality opportunity for themselves, and at the very least it could have advanced their opposition moving on into the kitchen and or meeting room. Not only that, but if they were a little bit more structured, a little bit more aggressive when it came to taking over top floor and then subsequently meeting a kitchen, it could have been a very much easier round for them, being as JW, they don't seem to do all too well to this structured aggression, or rather aggression in general, when they just get swung on. You had Vortex, I mean, he got rewarded with a 2K by just swinging in and trying to move in the kitchen. I feel as though that exact scenario could be expanded on, and it could very easily lead to a round win, given that MCU plays their cards right.
And I have to agree with that. We're going to be seeing a different attacking strategy coming into our kids' bedroom push. We're going to be seeing both a Gridlock, which was 6th picked from our usual Thermite pick, and also a Cali pick. If I had to guess on what we're going to be doing here, especially with the Ace carrying smokes, we're going to be seeing a smoke plant coming in. You just kind of hawk your smokes in, hawk your Gridlocks in, and just lock down that point before they even know what's going on. I feel like they're going to be trying to go for a quick and hard push to try to get some sort of advantage going on, rather than trying to methodically get in and get out as methodically as possible, because almost everyone knows the general strategy for an upstairs hold on Oregon. It is a very known hold. It is something that is very common, and I don't think they're going to be trying to change up any of that anytime soon. And as I say that, they're all trying to funnel in through master bedroom and trying to take out this side as well. And they're just going to be taking the Callie to use her gadget to take down any sort of bandits, because that destroys them along with being able to go onto the bandits, rather than just being able to get destroyed by the bandits. And there was a miss on that Callie gadget as well.
Yeah, it's a little interesting that out of that whole thing, you know, that whole amount of time where she could have very easily aimed in her gun and, you know, at least try to put a little strategy into the placement of her, her Kali, how should I put it, explosive? Her little explosive
It
traps.
is like
You
an
know.
explosive. It
Yeah,
is
you
like
know
a
what I
little,
mean.
it's like I call it a mini Ash, but
A
like for
mini
gadget
Ash,
only.
a hard breach Ash. Point being that she could have put a little bit more time into the actual placement, and it could have rewarded the attackers a lot better, with at least being able to open up the full main wall. But you see, Thermite's going to be brought in anyways, and the use of the Habana will not be in vain, at least on the left side of the wall. As you see, the entire wall has been opened up, and now Trophy being in control of the attackers, that could lead into a very nicely streamlined execute, being that now we have a hard breach hole to go through. But Strict, unfortunately, will be going down to the player of Oak Banshee, I believe, from the ARX holder. Now, Meow will be getting a kill of his own. This man's absolutely going off. The score, unfortunately, goes down, and along with that, your flank denial Gridlock player as well. Coin flips on a headshot. He goes amazingly wonderful with that kill, I guess you could call it. And now Nomad goes down just as well. So your entire flank denial presence of the players is entirely dismantled. Meow finding himself a double kill, gets the shot off on A, trying to move in from the double door, and a triple kill for himself will definitely denote an MVP status for this round. C4 coming through prevents the plant as Vortex, the final player up left on the board with Kali, unfortunately, is going to have to clutch this one out. Doesn't seem all too probable, but we'll have to give her some hope.
Callie's going to need to take that Red Rider BB gun to the finish line, and Meow's going to be finishing out that 4K for the win for this round for JWU. Meow just absolutely kind of carrying this out of what we saw from their attic hold, reinforcing that wall to just absolutely prevent any sort of re-peek on that into their 4K that ended up winning them the round in total. Along with that was a very flashy C4 kill. We love to see those. Those are just way too entertaining to just try to pass up, and they are so satisfying to get as a player as well. I feel like that they were trying to like funnel themselves all through master bedroom, when what they should have been trying to do was trying to go through the kids' bedroom. No, not kids' bedroom. Was going through Bunk's bedroom, like window, like the big bay window. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, they should have been trying to push through that, because that would have utilized Callie's ability to take long sight lines a lot better. That would have utilized Gridlock's ability to just kind of hawk her projectiles through just the window without even needing to see it. And that would have just complemented them way better, rather than trying to funnel all through master bedroom, which is what they were trying to do. And then we are going to be going down back into basement, a very general hold, a very common hold that we've seen. We're keeping this, and we're keeping the same exact lineup of heroes that we got going on here, with Meow keeping on the Malusi. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You know, on your previous point, I can do nothing but agree with you. I totally agree with you, H, because I feel like the attacking strategy has been extremely stale. It's getting old. You know, it's all too linear for it to work out for the attackers. You know, they have to add a little bit of spice in there. They have to at least try to get some sort of split presence going. Otherwise, they're not going to keep the attackers on, or rather the defenders on their heels. They're not going to keep them uncomfortable, you know, and keep that level of surprise going for them. Rather, the defenders will will easily be able to adapt mid-round, mind you, as to where the attackers are going, and it simply put makes a very easy round for the attackers to capitalize upon. And I mean, it's simple strategy, right? All you gotta do is go somewhere either unpredictable, you have to go 2 places at once, just try to get a little bit of duality going. And if you do so, you may very well see a successful push. But Hope Banshee will be the opening frag, or will get the opening frag at the very least with the ARX. Meow unfortunately goes down to that pressure coming from the tower. And that's your Malusi. Once again, you don't want the top fragger for your team going down in this round. You see coin flips, he'll get one of his own on the score. Unfortunately, the score cannot get a single kill quite yet. The Gridlock player is just doomed to die in here.
And that is just subtracting the area denial that you have from the Gridlock, along with the pushing advantage that you could have using the smokes from Ace as well, as we talked about earlier with the smoke, the Gridlock, just utter pandemonium going on the point, just making everyone blind, everyone step on Legos over here. And then along with that, Vortex is going to be trying to push in through this basement hold, through bunker again, which I feel like is still not utilizing Callie's long sight lines. I feel like she should have tried to push in through big tower rather, and then just kind of hold that whole hallway rather than try to hold just this small little area with her Red Rider BB gun that she's packing right now.
Red Rider BB gun.
It's
I've
a
never
red
heard
gun.
that before.
It's a red gun.
I mean, yeah, it's a Red Rider BB gun. It's more of a Red Rider sniper gun, but
Semantics
Quite a BB gun.
at this point. We're still going to be seeing Vortex and then Smash over here trying to push through the electrified wall over onto a site, I believe. And then they are going to punch the hole through, adding a lot more pressure onto them. But that is still not going to pay off that much because they are going to be holding their statue strategy of holding their angles, waiting for people to come to them. And we're going to be seeing some flashes coming on Ado. And that is not going to pay off with our Nomad just kind of peeking out and shooting down our poor Smoke in subject. And then we're also going to be seeing our Jaeger getting taken down with Bandit Blast 1 on the point. 18 seconds left on the round, and a MCU taking round 1, or their first win, about halftime. That was just a whirlwind push that the statue strategy showed its weakness to. They didn't move, and that showed the weakness that we talked about earlier.
Well, I think this round begged the question. Does the defense of JWU depend too much on heavy fragging players to win them rounds? We saw that Meow, he died at the first bit of the round, and I feel as though after that, the round slowly but surely went into the favor of the attackers. It was a slow decline for the defense, and it again tested the frag potential of the remaining players. Unfortunately, in a 4v5 situation, the remaining players paled in comparison to the attacking ability of, well, the attackers, right? And honestly, I just think that there could have been so much more done there for the defenders, even in a 4v5 situation, and they didn't utilize it. They didn't play to their best advantage. And Meow, being the player that's getting all the frags as Malusi, going down doesn't necessarily help them at all. So you really have to get a little bit more frag potential for the rest of your players. You have to have other people showing up outside of a single player, because what happens when he goes down? Well, something like we just saw in the last round, the other team most likely is going to win because they do have the better frag potential than the rest of the defensive players. I mean, you only have, what is it, 2 other players on your team, being Smoke and Bandit respectively, that are actually going positive. You have Strict and Ted, they're not going positive. 2 and 0 kills respectively for them. And honestly, again, you don't want that. You want the frag potential to be split amongst all of your players. That's just a simple fact of the game.
Well, there's also the idea of the bad game, and then along with that, we're going to be seeing a much more aggressive hold on this corner over here in bunker. A hold that I've been seeing a lot more of. Coin flips taking down I over here, and that is a really good pick on their Ash. And then Vortex taking down Meow, our poor top fragger on JWU, getting taken down almost immediately. And this hold that I've seen in this corner of bunker is something that I've seen a lot more. It's, to me, a very standard play. It is, to me, a very effective play. It allows for a much safer hold of bunker as a whole, and then coin flips is just going to give up that hold after a smoke as cover. They thought that they were going to be covering from the bandit, but the bandit is just going to use that as cover to make his getaway. And they were really holding on to it with both of the magpies and a deployable shield onto it.
Oh yeah. I mean, you gotta put all of your utilities stacked up on that elbow hold if you want to hold it all or nothing, but unfortunately they fall back, so it allows all of that utility to be wasted, and unfortunately Bandit, he will not be fragged upon this time around, trying to hold around the bomb, and he will be able to retain his life. But another interesting strategy, or positional hold, should I say, from Ado, it's going to be the smoke in E-box, out of all things. We know that the attackers most likely do not know the big positioning of this smoke, and if this comes to fruition, which it will, going up against Vortex, that gains him a big kill. Kali is going down at the same time. Huge frag potential for the attack. It also puts you in a 4-on-3 player disparity for the rest of the round. Now that we're hitting sub 1 minute, though, it's not looking all too good for the attackers. They're really going to have to make something come to fruition if they want to have a meaningful execute. Lots and lots of good crossfires being held out from the defense, and hopefully it will come to nice, well-placed frags. Ado is still holding very heavy on the E-box doorway. So in the case that he is able to get the kill once again, puts you at a 4-2 player deficit, and again, not looking all too good. Score's going to pick up one for his team in the attempt to equalize things out. Strick goes down all in the same moment, but you still got big fraggers up. Now that Smoke, he's made himself a pretty nice fragger. Hope it Banshee will go into an engagement with the smoke, but nothing to come of it, question mark? Oh no, yo, he goes right in. That's a very aggressive play. And now the kills will be going down. Score goes down, but coin flips coming in to prevent the defuse from ever happening. And that is a round for the defenders to win out, to very easily take for themselves.
I'm surprised that Smoke lived in that scenario. That was one of the wiggliest escapes I have seen a Smoke get out of.
I was lost for words. I was lost for words at that.
They pushed every button on their keyboard, and it paid off. And you know what? I give mad amount of respect for that Smoke just absolutely mashing on that keyboard. Because you just saw him just move all over the place and then wiggle straight through the door, forcing a sprint coming in from our Nomad, putting her into a very compromising scenario. And then we are going to be seeing after the halftime, JWU is going to be going on attack, and we are going to be seeing a slightly different strategy. We're keeping the Zofia and the Nomad and the A's. We are taking both Maverick and Capitao. I, for one, am one who stands Capitao. I am a huge fan of Capitao plays and what he can provide when it comes to both area denial and just the ability to smoke off whole hallways and just deny sightlines.
You know, you're right, and I think as we've entered a more frag-heavy meta, the use of Capitao has been much less than favorable for these teams. With the Para, you can't really get all too much done. The only gun that really does pose a potential threat in, you know, the frag-heavy meta of things would be his LMG, but then, God forbid, you're gonna have to use your utility along with it. You're gonna have to use your asphyxiating bolts and your smokes. Crazy idea, am I right? Oh my gosh. It's so completely unheard of, but altogether, though, I still think you're right. Capitao is an extremely viable operator, and he does pose an entire threat to any team that he goes against, not only because he has those asphyxiating bolts and smokes, but because now he has the hard breach charge, which allows a little bit more of a use to his team going forward in this meta. And now that we shift a little bit towards an intel geared meta, or maybe a little bit of utility burnout geared meta, he'll be more of use.
And I feel like they're going to be trying to go for a much more attic push rather than what we were seeing on the MCU attacking side, a master bedroom push. I'm going to hope that they go for a much more split strategy rather than all trying to just kind of funnel through master bedroom as we were seeing a lot on MCU. We're going to be seeing Maverick tricking out this whole bandit wall. No, he's just making some peek holes. I thought he was going to go for a full bandit trick. Nope, just making some peek holes by the looks of it, just looking to see if there's any sort of hold that he can get. I don't think there's anyone on MCU holding down that attic sightline. Yeah, Maverick's just kind of poking holes. just trying to see who he can see, find what he can find, instead of trying to take out the bandit and then using the multitudes of hard breach capability that we have. Speaking of that, I taken some damage from Nomad as well, getting caught out and did not die in the process. That is a really good thing that he got out alive, and we're going to be seeing a good hole coming in from our Maverick, being able to push quietly into Attic, with Meow taking down Vortex, and also the score getting taken down as well. That is a 2-5 at a minute 25 left for the defensive side. And they probably don't know that they're in Attic yet, especially because they didn't blow up the wall, they just kind of melted through it. Alright. And we're going to be seeing coin flips taking down smashers as well. And then we're going to be seeing a whirlwind heist for a flawless round for JWU, taken down for the attacking side of it. And that is just something that you love to see. That is a great push that they came in, and I feel like this proves the fact on JWU just holding out their defense and then being able to push in through their attack.
Speechless. I am speechless. Speechless. Oh my word, was that, you're right, a whirlwind heist of an attack. Did not expect it to be as explosive as it was, did not expect there to be as many frags for the attack as there was, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, and we have to deal with it as casters. Unfortunate as it is, that leaves a 6-1 scoreline with match point being held over the heads of our defenders, which obviously is Johnson and Wales. And they must be having a little bit of their mental fortitude definitely be taking a hit by now, right? You're 6-1, you're losing absolutely horribly, and you're not doing all too good with your frags, right? You don't have all too many players actually going positive, or should I say even neutral, and it's just not looking good for the rest of this game. So, I mean, not only having your mental literally chalked, you're at such a big round deficit, but then you're going to be going on to your pick, so hopefully that'll bring up, you know, the mental fortitude of MCU in the coming moments when they usher on to Villa. But otherwise, I simply think that Marymount, I mean, you're mental. It's wraps. It is wraps, and that is a huge factor to have to analyze, because having your mental fortitude be so in the dump right now could mean, you know, they give up easy plays, they start making simple mistakes, and that snowballs into more and more rounds that JWU uses to their advantage. And that the same thing goes vice versa, you know? Now that JWU is more confident, they might get a little bit overconfident and or have better mechanical play. You don't necessarily know how that's going to affect a team up until you see it. But so far, what we do know is the scoreline, which is that it's snowballing and having a momentum effect on JWU to continue to win out their rounds, even on their attack transition, which is completely huge. I mean, you had Meow, he showed up for the first 2 kills. Let's hope that the attack is going to have a similar performance this time around.
Then we're going to be seeing Ted holding out this roaming route, I'm going to call it. And then along with that, I bet MCU does feel, I'm going to call it, a bit cheesed over this hard loss that they're going to be taking, which is probably going to end up being a 7-1 unless they pull a mad upset on their defensive capabilities. Although with Meow still alive and just clearing out this entire roaming area, just able to just absolutely have the maximum amounts of confidence that he needs to be able to push in through where he needs to push through, and then give him the ability to just frag out of his mind. We're going to be seeing a lot of roam clear, actually. We're hitting 1:15, and I don't think they've even looked at basement yet. They barely have, like, glanced at basement. They know who is what and what is where. However, they haven't figured out on the how to push into it.
And I mean, the how is going to be your biggest effort in winning this round. Am I right? You got a freezer execute that could be very possible coming up for the attack. Alongside that, we might be seeing a main stairs execute. Something that isn't necessarily the most common, but at the very same time, it's not necessarily the most unadaptable strategy that you could be seeing. Is he picks up one moving into meeting. Unfortunately, Coin Flips did not see that one coming as Meow alongside a Claymore gets his headshot going forward. So that puts a really hard pressure onto MCU for the rest of the round. You only have 2 players up on the board. Hope Banshee claps back, gets one of his own off on Meow of all players. Hope Banshee, though, on a double kill with the Malusi MP5, although the attack does know where she is, and that will be a frag to refrag. Score, last player left alive is going to have to rotate on over to main, and it'll fall right into the hands of Strict as he finds a headshot to clean up the round, clean house, and give the attackers their so needed round for a 7-1 scoreline as we usher into our second map of Villa.
JWU is just so good at what I'm going to call the reverse 20-second strategy, where they're going to wait until 20 seconds. They're just able to get the mad frags that they need to be able to push all the way through the defensive line. And it's just nuts to watch because you just suddenly see the kill feed light up like a Christmas tree. And then everyone is suddenly dead, and then suddenly JWU stands up on the top. And that makes this first round of this match going to JWU at a 7-1. JWU favor. Is there anything that you think they could change when it comes to Villa for MCU? Or do you think that they're going to be trying to keep the same sort of strategies?
Well, I mean, looking at the type of competition that they bring to the table, I feel as though they're not necessarily going to be changing things up. And knowing that MCU does prefer Villa, they might have something ready for us going into this map. They might have strategies built up. They might have a meta built up around their dynamic as a team, so we definitely got to look out for that. And as well as that, Johnson, they specifically chose attack, which means that, I mean, hey, they might be a little bit more comfortable on their attacks. They might be a little less comfortable on their defenses. We're going to have to be seeing this premiered, though. We know that Villa a little bit more of an attacker-sided map, although I'm not quite sure if it's over 50% attacking retention rate. Although I think it'll be somewhere around there. I'm going to say around in the 40s, but other than that, I simply think that Villa is still, with Rainbow6 Siege being the way that it is, a defense-sided map. So kind of questioning the way that Johnson picked attack on that one, but still, we're going to be playing it out in the next few seconds here. I'm not quite sure if we're going to be going into a break before them, but I believe we will be. Do we have a word from production?
I believe I saw something flash on our screen about them taking a break.
Okay.
So we are going to go to break for a bit, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right.
but that's also because I like the bottles that they come in.
Welcome back to our amazing, wonderful matchup of JWU and MCU, or otherwise known as Johnson and Wales versus Marymount, California. We got a pretty nice matchup for this map. It's going to be Villa that we're going into, but before we get into that, let's do some introductions. My name is Jenna, aka Giraffe Row, and right next to me is H. How are you doing?
Hello, I am H. And after the previous round that we saw, JWU has shown their mad chops for being able to take down players and Meow's ability to get mad frags on the board, along with their ability to turn that kill feed into a gosh darn Christmas tree within the last 30 seconds of every round that I have seen them play in. So I'm really excited to see on what frag heavy plays we're going to be seeing going on to Villa over here, and they are going to be defending first, if I remember rightly.
It will be Johnson and Wales on attack. So, yep. So they knowingly chose attack, which is really interesting. That is honestly super interesting because we know Villa is a little bit more of an attack-sided map, and maybe they're trying to play into that strategy. Maybe they have something lined up for their attacks. Maybe they just want to get their attacks done and over with so they can go on to their defenses. That was a theory that you played around with in our first map, which was Oregon, as we saw that MCU was on their attack first. Unfortunately, it was a 7-1 in the hands of, I believe it was Johnson and Wales, with the team that Meow was on. He absolutely went off. He had a 2.0 KDR. He carried his team, simply put. He did a lot of work. He put a lot of work in. He was one of the 3 players that actually had positive KDs, which is really interesting to look at because you see Hope Banshee, he was the only player on the other team that had a positive KD. Something to look out for during this game of Villa. But before we get into that, we have operator bans already going down. We got Thatcher, Jackal, Kaid, and potentially Mira for the next one, which would be a similar, not exactly same chronological order of bans, but definitely similar. And yep, it is going to be Mira. So technically same, not chronologically same. Or it is exact same, so it was Kaid and then Mira. So, okay, I thought it was Mira, then Kaid.
Yep.
Oh, right, that's what I was saying. Okay, yeah, we got no from production. It's the same exact bands. My point was that it was, like, different bands chronologically, but still same exact bands, technically. Anyways, we're gonna be getting onto Aviator in games.
I also think that if you try to argue the chronological bands, it's just getting into the semantics that we really don't need to in this gaming universe that we are in. So we are going to be seeing a hold on to Aviator in Games Room. We are going to be seeing a Pulse and a Castle by the looks of it. We're going to keep the... Nope, we're switching out the Pulse. I lied to you. It is back to the Malusi plays, baby. We are going to be seeing the typical Malusi probably going to be a mild roamer unless we're going to see the usual Jaeger roam coming in as well. I feel like they're going to try to be utilizing the castle to just lock off both study and main stairs, hopefully. And we're going to see if that ends up paying off into the favor of MCU rather than into the favor of JWU.
And you want to know what's really intriguing, H, is the fact that there isn't any camera-like intel operators off on the board right now. There's only what we would call direct intel or hearing intel, but essentially where you have a version of utility that either pings or that picks up an audio cue as to where the attackers are. And with Melusi and Legion on the board, it does just that. So Legion traps obviously give an audible cue as to where the attackers are, as well as that you got Melusi, her banshees give an audible cue and have an area of denial effect that slow down attackers as to where they're going as well. So having that intel surrounding the square of AVG could be very, if not extremely important for the defenders to keep. And, I mean, you know, you might not actually need the camera intel if you can utilize the direct intel into a really meaningful existence.
And then we are going to be seeing a general push coming in from Meow. We are going to be going through Roundabout, and we've already seen a push into main hallway as well from Ado, just getting all their drones out, getting all the roamers out. We're going to be using our hard breach from our Capital onto the castle barricade, and that is a decent amount of utility out of the pocket of our Capital. And we are seeing a very similar pushing strategy coming in from JWU, a fairly split pushing strategy, a fairly good, we're going to push in from all the different points and angles, rather than trying to funnel through like we were seeing from MCU. And Jaeger did not quite finish their placements of all their magpies by the looks of it, as he runs across that hallway very quickly and nervously to try to place that down before he gets shot out. And then generally we are going to be seeing just a lot of holds coming in on the minute 36 mark. They know and they understand someone's up those main stairs, but they don't quite know where exactly they are. We're going to be seeing just a lot of caltrops coming down here from Vortex, just an absolute Legoland down on those main staircases, just absolutely preventing any sort of push, or at least if they did try to push, we know that they're there.
And 1, 2, and 3 Legion traps that will. Oh, now 4. Now we're going on to 4. Now that the Legion traps will have to be quite obviously clicked in or noticed from the attackers before anything happens. But oh no, the score and the Vortex will add on to our first blood kills of the round. Ado and Ted unfortunately going down in lieu of being able to get the kills themselves. We got Vortex though, he'll be on a double kill rip for himself up on Classical, and the score coming in with a UMP headshot out of all things finds the head of Strix. So now coin flips, he's the only player left alive for the attack. He's gonna have to be on his lonesome, moving all the way through Classical with a barrage of utility used against him, including that Melusi Banshee that we'll be seeing premiered down 90. So coin flips, I mean, it's gonna be a very contested round. He's got 1 kill going for him though, but no, he'll get refragged up in the same existence. Vortex finding that kill, and that shuts down the round for the attack.
There's a lot going on. We saw Jaeger there try to do what the Smoke did last round with just his pure wiggly strats. We saw the Capital. I believe it was Castle that missed their initial shots against the Capital. I'm surprised the Capital lived to even peek into study and then pull back out onto balcony once he got Legion trapped. There's just a lot going on in that round that I'm surprised happened. And we're going to be seeing a pick into Buck as well, rather than our usual. And then we're going to be seeing Sledge and Buck pick. We're going to be seeing a lot more soft breach rather than hard breach coming in from our Ace. We're going to be seeing a Buck and Sledge, where they're going to be going for a vertical play, which is not going to happen because we are on the 2nd floor.
No, H, you say Capital really weird.
Capital?
You say Capital really weird. You say it like Capital. Like,
yeah.
Like Cappy and then Tao. Like Cappy. Capital.
It is how it is.
Capital. Like Capital. Capital, not Capital.
Capital.
Capital. No, Capital.
Should we
Capital.
Can we just shorten his name to Cappy? I'm going to shorten his name to Cappy.
Just Oh my god.
Anyway, so we're going to be
You
seeing our
infuriate
usual
me.
picks with our Cappy, our Nomad, and our Ace staying on, but we are going to be taking an Ash and a Sledge instead for the much needed Soft Breach in order to counter the castle rather than our poor Cappy having to use his Hard Breach gadget on that castle barricade.
I mean, I totally agree with you. There's going to be a lot of utility, a lot of hard breach utility specifically in the hands of JW. The question is, how are they going to use it? Is it going to be an effective use? Or rather, is it going to be used on something that, well, isn't really going to be a very fruitful execute for them? I'm going to imagine that they're going to go on the side of Master Bedroom to try to get the hard breach open, as normally a default plant execute type style attack would go, but it doesn't really seem like we'll be seeing that all too much. I mean, there's a library side execute, lots and lots of droning going on, so we're gonna assume that the attackers are waiting for the ace to finish up his droning in order to move in, but really intriguing, really fascinating the way that this execute is going to be handled here. Looks like the attackers are going to funnel in to blue stairs out of all things. That's a really interesting execute, being that you don't normally see it. You normally see a master bedroom side push or a aviator side push. So something different coming from them, and hopefully something that will be successful. You see Ash, she'll put down her charges, and now the defenders, they know exactly where those attackers are coming.
And we're going to be having, I believe it was holding down Astronomy, holding down from coin flips with both of these murder holes that he's had, both of these rotate holes that he's had, just peeking back and forth, not being able to get the kill on coin flips. Coin flips very paranoid at the fact that someone is there. He has a deadly premonition that there might be a smoke in that area, but us as casters know that there is, and he isn't 100% certain about it. We're going to be seeing a lot of very passive holds. They kind of gave up everything around the point by the looks of it, and just to try to hold very hard onto the point itself, rather than trying to hold the outsides of it.
Definitely the ATK or the attack appears to be really uncomfortable. They're getting extremely stagnant on this Astro take. Though, will be the one to pick up the kills for the round. Ted, unfortunately, going down as he grabs another one for himself,
Ooh.
Meow, to try to refrag on his death. Vortex going down all in the same moment. A big fragger, a big presence for the defense, but all still, he'll be up as the L85 captures another kill. Meow absolutely going off, and that is our great equalizer that we needed. We're going to be seeing some asphyxiating bolts coming out to play, and it's not going to be to play if I gets put in them, or rather thrust in them, but Meow, oh no, he goes on a tirade as coin flips picks up the final kill that we needed to finish off the round. Absolute flurry of kills that ends off the whirlwind of the Astro take turned deadly execute.
That just shows even further that JWU is just really good at, once they know who is what and what is where, they can get the how solved by just a few choice shots, because as I have always said, you don't need to worry about planting if you get a few clean shots in their cranium. So you don't even need to worry about that point if you're able to kill the rest of the enemy team.
I mean, good point. Good point that you pose.
And then we also saw Cappy taking a great use of his asphyxiating bolts along with his smoke bolts, locking down the rotate holes that I was holding, along with preventing a push coming in from that main doorway in Trophy Room. And they're going to be trying Trophy Room again, going to see if they can try to fix something, however minutely it might be fixed, or if they're just going to try the same strategy, because they realized it was much more in the execution and the individual player skill rather than the strategy itself.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I think more so than anything, it was JW and the way that they took it, rather than MCU. And I feel the issue with MCU was the fact that they didn't adapt in time. They didn't put enough players on the side of Astro to try to combat the push. They figured, hey, it's probably not going to be that important of a side to hold, right? They're probably going to try to go for a split take, if anything. But no. As a matter of fact, it ended up being an extremely linear push, and all players tried to go Astro, which, interestingly enough, it looks like at least one player, the player of Ash, coin flips, is looking to go Astro once again. Not as much of an important push, but now MCU are going to, at the very least, be looking out for the Astro side push. Could very easily be coin flips to lose his life in that attempt. Now we're going to have to see, as the mechanical play will definitely have to come to fruition for coin flips in the case that he tries to aggressively take Astro. But that'll have to come in time, as now we're about to be sub 1 minute in the round. But coin flips, oh my
There
gosh,
he
as I
is,
say that, yep,
taking down
Caster's
that round.
curse.
That
Oh.
is the good old-fashioned caster's curse, and I would have to argue it is a coin flip of a chance for coin flips over here. And he did,
Wow.
however, catch that default cam that he missed the previous round, and Meow taking down Banshee on top of that. That is both the Melusi and the Bandit down, who I'm assuming are their primary roamers by the looks of the scoreboard and roughly where they had died, or roughly where I believe they have died. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of an aggressive push coming in, especially with a 5-3 advantage coming in on the minute 40 mark, with Vortex holding our trophy room and along with Smashers holding on this angle from Statuary into our main hallway, which is actually not where they're pushing from. They're all pushing from astrology, as we've been talking about.
Yeah, there's only so many angles that the defenders can hold, and once all of them eventually get overrun after getting a kill or two, the damage will still be done. The damage still is done. I mean, it's a 5-on-3, and Meow will move right into Statuary, pick up 2 of his own for a triple kill run right before getting shot up by Vortex with the T5 SMG. But now, damage again has been done. His fixating bolts will go down, taking lots and lots of damage on Vortex, as we see damage going down for himself, but not before he once again gets fragged out by the para player of Strict.
I really thought that Legion was going to live for a second. I saw a lot of bullets miss. I thought for a very, very split second that JWU was suddenly paid off somewhere in the background with how many bullets are being missed right there. However, they were finally able to land the shots that they needed to land to win the round for themselves, bringing it up to a 2-1 JWU favor. And we're not even halfway through that. And we're not even like a quarter through the match fully. And we are going to be seeing our first cam-up pick that we've seen in both of the matches so far. We're going to be seeing a pick of a Maestro coming in, and you commented earlier how there were no cam-up bans, yet it was very strange we weren't seeing any active picks of Valkyrie or Maestro or even a Mozzie.
That is really intriguing because you look at Oregon and you see a lot of potential for gaining intel from the defense, which is why I have to wonder, why the heck did they not bring a Valkyrie? Why did they not bring a Maestro? Why in the world did they not bring a Mozzie? Somebody who at least has a fragability factor to his arsenal, to his guns, and can collect on the active intel that he gains for his team. It just simply does not make sense. And most, if not all of those players have nitro cells in their arsenal too. So not only does that gain you a duality to the damage that you can do, but you still give the defending side lots and lots of intel. It just honestly doesn't make sense to me in a lot of ways. And looking at Oregon, again, the map geography, it makes for a really good intel-bound map. I just have to question it. And for Villa, too. The same thing goes with Villa. I'm surprised for the first 3 rounds, MCU did not choose a single intel operator. I'm going off on them. I know I'm going off on them. But it just doesn't make sense. Something about it. It just do not be adding up. If 1 + 1 is 2, then the math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't math, and however, I would also like to argue there has been an element on both sides of all aim, no brain going on, where we have been seeing a lot more of an individual player skill rather than a much more cohesive set of teamwork. And that's not necessarily trashing on either team, that's just something I have noticed, because I've noticed a lot of heavy frags coming in. You even see it now on JWU with Meow holding almost all the kills and Vortex holding almost all the kills on MCU. We're seeing a lot of individual player skill and a lot of individual gunfight skill going on, but we're not seeing a lot of teamwork when it comes to both gadget use and by what seems of it, a whole ton of communication. However, as casters, we do not know, and we aren't in that behind the scenes of what kind of communication is happening, whether they're just so good they don't need the cams, they're just really good at their audio cues, or they just are so good at their mad flicks that they can get the mad kills.
And I concur with you. I do have to agree with you. And I think that is a little bit because of the fact that, oh no, Vigil getting it down on coin flips. But I think that that's the fact that this level of competition isn't necessarily the most competitive. It isn't necessarily the most skillful or most cohesive level of play. There are a lot of teams where the players just don't mesh the best together. And for it to be a collegiate team, I mean, yes, there is a trial process, there is a selection process, but I mean, man, people they're looking out for their money. They're looking out for them scholarships that you can get for esports. I mean, I know I am. No, I'm just kidding. But you get what I'm saying. A lot of teams at this level of play, this competition, aren't always going to be the most cohesive, as we see Meow moving right into the objective. We know that JW is extremely cohesive to pull out that level of coordination. Strict finding himself his own kill. The other side of the map, I going down. Now you got one player moving in from Laundry, gets a kill with the T5. Fortunately goes down all at the same moment, and Jaeger, he goes down just as well by Meow as the diffuser got planted, and it gains the round win for JWU.
And that wasn't necessarily the whirlwind heist that we're used to seeing JWU take. There was a few kills coming in from Meow, who has been shown to be their primary entry fragger. And me saying that there isn't teamwork, that doesn't mean that there is a complete lack of it. There is still teamwork going on, although I don't think it's necessarily as direct as some would think it is. It might just be much more of the Twitch reactions and just practice that they've had on just, oh, hey, I have the gut reaction to do this, rather than just actively communicating, hey, I need you to do that. So while it might not look like that there's a bunch of teamwork going on, just might be a bunch of there might be a bunch of split-second decisions going on in every single player's brain on JWU that might result in pushes that we had just seen on Kitchen, which ended up taking the whole site within 30 seconds.
You know, I debated for the split second of putting this little bit in, but my school has closed down for tomorrow because of inclement weather. And I just wanted to share that with the stream, because I feel as though that is the biggest dub that I could have taken this entire week, and I took it. I absolutely took it. As we see that JWU is taking a similar dub. They took Oregon 7-1, and now they're on a 3-1 tirade. Interestingly enough, on their attacking rounds, out of all things. And what is even more interesting is that they intentionally took attack, and they're winning it on MCU's pick. So this is their map pick. This is their, pick for their defensive rounds, pick for their attacking rounds. They're obviously a lot more comfortable on Villa out of all things, and yet they're still losing it out. I think that's a big testament to the skill level of JWU, but in a way, the underestimation of JWU's abilities on Villa, and potentially the overestimation of MCU's ability on Villa.
And we are seeing, since we are going into round 5 here, Meow has already picked up 10 frags as well in these just 5 rounds.
Man.
That is 2 kills per round, if my basic math doesn't elude me. And we're seeing Banshee still making main staircase, just the Lego hallway. Just if you try to step through that hallway, you're just going to get something stuck in your foot and you don't know what to do. We're going to be seeing Score as well, rotating over to try to get a decent flank on anyone who's trying to push up their main stairs into main hallway, trying to see if we can get a kill. And that does not pay off for our poor castle, as Coin Flips absolutely gets the headshot onto Score as well, losing them a player, and that puts it down to a 4-5 JWU favor at the minute 45 mark.
Well, I like the way that MCU holds this strategy. The one thing I definitely don't like about it is that there's pillars, and when one pillar falls, meaning a player positioning, when one player positioning falls, then that causes the rest of the pillars to fall. It is such a frag-heavy strategy, frag-heavy positioning for each player to have to endure themselves in, that at this point, it isn't necessarily worth it, because like I said, if you lose one player, then another player at the very least is going to be going down alongside. And you have Vortex, the Score, and Hope Banshee already going down. So that is a lot of pillars of the defense that have already been felled. And now, in a wonderful kill shot. You have Meow going down as well. A huge fragger, a huge presence on the team of JW. So once again, this theory gets tested. Is the frag potential high enough for JWU? Even in a 4-on-1 now, Strick finds a headshot on Smasher to win it out.
And that puts it down to a 4-1 with I trying to take it back, taking down coin flips, at least putting him onto the ground, not able to get the confirm, and then Ado just kind of shooting at I and able to catch the one bullet that I did not want to catch in Armory Room. That was just another really good push that we have seen from JWU. And even though Meow did get taken out, they do have their individual just teamwork as well, along with the gun skill that might be in the individual players that Meow is just overshadowing with his skills as an entry fragger. Because that is what the term is. They enter and they frag. It is a two-part conjunction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So he runs in and kills everyone, probably leaving not enough kills for everyone else on the team. So everyone else on the team might not be. This is gonna sound really weird. They might not be like really bad at fragging. It's just that Meow is greedy and he's taking everything on the plate.
I mean, it's a viable theory. I totally agree with you. It's a viable theory. I don't know if I have enough information on how JW plays, on how their fraggers are, totally, to make an informed assumption about Meow and about the rest of the fraggers on the team. But hey, it's a nice theory. It's food for thought. It's something good to think about. Although another good thing to think about is the fact that MCU, the one round that they won on AVG, which was the first round, they won it pretty nicely. I like their frag heavy strategy, which is something that I went over a lot during the last round. But what's really fascinating about it is last round specifically, we saw that JW, they did not care about the placement of players in AVG. They didn't care about any of it. They still went along with their strategy. And I think that that stubbornness is really a testament to the skill level of JWU. I mean, they could choose to go on a completely different side of the map and capitalize off of that playability and simply just win out rounds like that, right? A really well drawn out methodical push could do just as well as an extremely bulldozing, aggressive styled push from JW, and yet they still win it out of all things. Knowing exactly where MCU's players are and going and playing into their hands of where they are, they still win it out. That's really, really odd to think about, and yet it's happening out of all things, but really, really, really weird thing, regardless. And now, this time around, we're going to be seeing an Aviator side push, as already one defender has been spotted out by the attack, i.e. Holby going down in the coming seconds here, but no, he won't. He'll pick up a frag of his own already in a 5-on-3. Unfortunately not, actually. I thought that was that didn't prone, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm just stupid. I'm a stupid caster. I'm a stupid idiot caster. But score, and I gone down. The roaming presence dismantled at this point, which gives the attackers more map control and more area to work with when trying to constrict the defenders inside the site.
And there was a great lack of a hold coming in on Study that we saw when it came to Aviator and Billiards. There was a great lack of defense. They had put the gadgets there and they had invested the utility that they had to try to hold it, but they did not do much. We're going to be seeing a lot of frags coming in MCU's favor. We have Meow taken down, we have coin flips down, but not quite out, with Hope Banshee being the last player alive with that MP5K, a very good gun to be left alone with, and Ado going to be trying to plant on site. I don't think there's much that Ado can do, but Banshee is going to frag out over here, going prone in dismay of our poor Sledge, trying to get the last kills that he needs, but Ado being able to pick up against Banshee, sadly. I thought that was actually going to go into Banshee's favor for a second because he was able to take down that Ash and bamboozle that Sledge into missing all of his shots. But with both the time constraint and just the sheer action economy advantage that they did not have, Banshee was just already kind of set up to lose, I felt. And we are
Oh,
also going to be seeing that Mozzie pick coming in on JWU after this half. One of the cam ops that we have been just kind of frothing over a little bit. We're going to be seeing Mozzie, who not only has that Glock with a stock that's very good at killing things, but also has the active cams in the form of drones. And we are also going to be seeing a 6 pick into Frost, which is also something you don't see a lot.
you don't see it a lot, but it's becoming interestingly a lot more prevalent in the meta. And I think that is mainly because Frost, well, she just got a 1.5 scope, and because her utility is becoming a lot more useful. Knowing that at this level, most players aren't expecting a Frost, you know? It's almost like an element of surprise. It's almost like it's such a low-level strategy that it's smart, you know what I mean? It's like it's almost so stupid that it's actually gonna work. And that's the theory that you bring along when you use Frost, because her traps are so big, they're so clunky, they're so easy to see, but when you hop into a window and you don't expect a Frost trap to be there, well, yeah, you're gonna get bamboozled. You're gonna get down by the Frost trap, and thus Frost is going to easily be able to collect your life without even having to have a face-to-face one-on-one engagement with her new sight, which is the 1.5.
Along with that, you have the new secondary shotgun that she's had for probably a hotter second than I thought, and the fact that she has a deployable shield, which is a very, very good utility to have. But a Frost is only as good as the team knowing about the Frost. If you know that a Frost is there, that Frost is basically completely useless, or at least I have found that to be true. As soon as the team knows that there's a Frost, there's no Frost kills coming in, unless you put all the Frost mats into popular areas of cover. But with that secondary shotgun, we are going to be seeing Meow making a bunch of murder holes in the floor over here, trying to catch out any sort of vertical play that he can squeeze out of the floorboards, out of the cracks, out of the crannies. And we're going to be seeing Banshee pushing into our main bedroom. We're seeing a main bedroom push coming in for when it comes to Aviator and Billiards Room.
Yeah, I do like this long-winded roam clear. The only issue with that is that the attack is going to have to keep up the pacing as best as they possibly can, and knowing that this, for the most part, is a turtle hold, the attack really isn't going to get any kills going their way, and it simply is just free area control, but Hope Banshee will be getting the first blood of this round, unfortunately having Ted going down at the hands of the ARX player. Great headshot on his part, and unfortunately, Ted is going to have to go another round without spawning in, but who will spawn in is going to be Meow, going into 90, unfortunately getting fragged out just at the same moment that she is able to capitalize with her 1.5. And already, a 4-on-3 scenario is not proving to be very helpful for JWU in this defense round. Although you got coin flips, he's on the heels of the attackers, trying to pull out yet another flank, which 2 times so far has not been successful for the defense. So either he's going to have to do something extremely successful, something that hasn't been done before, or he's going to go down for it. And as you see, Strict, he's also on the same side, and we're going AVG. What am I talking about? I'm thinking to myself, he's trying to at least pull out a flank. Yeah, I'll say it. It's a flank. It's a flank, and he's trying to at least go around and have a face-to-face engagement with the attackers. I'll say it, okay?
But there's also the idea of wasting sight lines and wasting time, which is probably one of the most precious resources in all of Rainbow, is just the time that you have. So while he might not be trying to get a really aggressive flank, he is trying to just make sure he can squeeze as much seconds out of the attacking team as he can. We're going to be seeing our poor Nomad getting taken down in Aviator, along with coin flips taking down Vortex. That is a very strong pick for the defensive side. It has immediately turned around for JWU in these last 3 seconds, with Ado getting the final frag using an impact grenade, which is something that not only do you not see a whole lot, is something that we call in the business Mad BM.
That's what you would call a triple-decker bait and switch wombo combo.
That ain't Falco.
It's Falcon Punch right up your kisser, just pow.
That was JWU, even on the defensive side, somehow lights that kill feed like a Christmas tree. Again, I know I've been saying that a lot, but I feel like that's what it is. Because suddenly there will be no kills, and then suddenly I'll just look in my upper right, and there's just everyone dead. and then JWU wins.
Well, they're good at controlling explosive executes. I'll give them that. Especially on their attacks, they're good at controlling really explosive executes, and they thrive in the chaos of it. They're able to get really mechanical plays off on the defense when they were on their attack, and it really benefited them moving into their respective defense side. Now, on their defenses, it appears that MCU doesn't have a great time with pacing. They lose individual players along the way. They don't do all too good when it comes to actually getting into the objective, and when they do, it's really late during the round, which comes down to an extremely explosive execute. It's that 20-second execute, and like I said, JWU, they know how to control those types of executes, no matter what side they're on, which provides a really interesting dynamic, because then JWU, knowing how MCU plays, they can simply play around them. They know exactly what they're going to opt for. They know how they're going to do it, and it becomes a game that is predictable, and it becomes a game that you very, very easily win 7-1 back-to-back, which is hopefully what we're going to be seeing in the coming moments. Now, something that I hate to see, you just hate to see in general, is Meow. He's going on a 12-5 rip. But if you look at the gun that he has in his main arsenal, it is not the MP7 of Bandit, rather, it is his shotgun.
They're going for the, as I stated earlier, maximum BM, and we also have the score picking Knock on attack along with that, which is a pick that you also don't see a whole lot of. Knock is just basically the Cav of the attacking side without much of the benefit of Cav. You just aren't spotted by the cameras, but with Coin Flips being the only person with cameras, I feel like you don't need to worry that much about it. Meow has gotten cocky, Coin Flips has taken down Smashers, it is just a cacophony of just everything happening. With Ado taking down Vortex, I feel like JWU already has it in the bag, especially with Vortex being one of their primary fraggers outside of I. And then Banshee also getting taken down by our Bandit for a double kill on Coin Flip's side, with Coin Flips taking down that shotgun, proving that shotgun still can be used in these relatively close quarters of an enclosed building. The score, our poor Knock, left to a 1-5 at the 1 minute 20-second mark. Unable to get the kill, still able to get the kill against Strict Viral over here. They know where she is, and she doesn't know what to do about it, and that wins the game and the set for JWU. Both rounds 7-1.
Have it, ladies and gentlemen, a very dominant showing from Johnson Wales, and they got it in the bag. They do 7-1 back to back. You have to question, was there really a chance for MCU? Did they even have a chance in this competition?
I think they did have a chance, but with the constant losses and just the detriments to their mental, I'm going to call it mental stability, but that's not the word I should be using, but you know what I mean. Like tilt. They probably got a little bit tilted after round 1, and that just didn't help them in round 2. With Meow being our MVP for both rounds as well, and I'm assuming that is something that you can 100% agree with me on.
Oh yeah, I definitely can. Simple mistakes being made after a few rounds. You could tell that their hearts weren't in it, they didn't want to win it out, and their minds, at the very least, weren't in it either. But we will be closing this out very soon. I'm not quite sure if there's going to be an interview section or not. I don't believe in this league that there is. I'll have the production confirm that for us. Is there an interview? There... I mean, well, being that it was a super... I don't know if we'd get a lot of substance out of it, being that it was an extremely, like, polarizing, score?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'd say there's no harm in getting an interview section, personally.
Yeah, no harm. We could totally do it.
And along
I
with
would
that,
totally
we
be
can
down for an
catch
interview.
to see if there is a lot more communication going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If you want.
If you would like. Alright. And being that Johnson specifically chose attack, I'm gonna have to ask them about that.
You're a bit far from your mic.
I know. I said, being that Johnson specifically chose attack, I'm gonna have to ask them about that, whoever their correspondent may be.
hmm And I am hoping that there was a lot more teamwork going on behind the scenes that wasn't nearly as obvious and was much more on communication. And speaking of such, we are seeing the darling of JWU, Meow, over here, being our main top fragger. Meow, how have you been doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
All
Fun
right.
game.
Do you have any comments on you just absolutely turning that kill feed into a Christmas tree at times?
I just went in there and did my thing. I had my team around me. It's a team effort. I played my role, they played theirs, and we won.
Mhm. Now, was there a lot more communication than was like strictly obvious with you as the entry frag, or was there a lot of, oh hey, this dude right there, or was it just you kind of went in and you were able to get the flicks that you needed off?
A mix of both. We comp pretty well. That's something we've been working on big time. Like we had a rough start. Like a couple months ago, we were not the same team that we are today. But obviously we've worked on a lot of things, and we're able to have dominant performances like that now.
And that's really fun to see. Jenna, do you have any specific questions for Meow over here?
Yeah, I mean, strategically, I love to overanalyze things, so I have to beg the question, what was the idea behind doing your attacking side on Villa first, choosing that?
So Villa isn't a map that we practice a whole lot, and frankly, we have players who don't even know all the callouts on that map. So I figured it would be better if we went on attack, since like I'm generally our fragger of the team, and I'm better on attack than I am on defense. So I like to get us on attack first. I think it's easier to warm up with attack, especially against a team that the game plan really was that we would stomp on Oregon like we did. We're very confident in our Oregon, and
Mhm.
so we were on the second half of Oregon. We were on attack, so we figured we would just keep that momentum going on attack, bring it to the next map, and it panned out beautifully.
And I also have to ask, if we were to go to a theme park, what type of play do you think would ensue? Are you guys pretty well warmed up on theme park? Do you guys have a strategy set for it?
We have some tricks up our sleeve, but I can't really get into that. Obviously, it's pretty early in the season. I don't want to give up too many secrets, but yeah, I'm confident that we would do okay on Oregon or
All right.
theme park rather.
All right. Now, if I slipped a very crisp $2 bill into your front pocket, would you reveal some of these JWU secrets to us?
Absolutely not.
It's worth a shot. Anyway, I personally don't have any more questions at all, and I would like to thank you for coming into our short little interview section that we had with you as well. Thanks for being a sport about it.
Yep, no problem. Thank you guys for having me. You guys have a good one.
All right, and I can't wait to see you play more in this later in the season. Rock on.
I'll deliver.
All right, well, that was our interview portion of it. We know it wasn't super long-winded and it wasn't super analytical, but there isn't really all too much to analyze, being that it was both 7-1s back to back. There wasn't all too,
Mhm.
much super heavy-minded play going into it. But I still think it was a wonderful game. GG's to both teams, and congrats to JWU for winning that one out. But otherwise, that has been us. Make sure to go check out our socials individually for us. I'm not quite sure what your socials are, but I know, of course, mine are just Giraffe on everything. And make sure to check out the socials for NECC as well. I'm not quite sure what their Twitter is. I think it's something just like NECC. Any NECC games?
Yes.
I'm not even sure, but you guys know what I mean. I'm just going through the spiel at this point.
Mhm.
But otherwise, thank you everybody for coming out. This has been us, H and Giraffe, and we will see you next time.
And I'll catch you on the flip.